Hello, hello. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How are we today, my friends? You good? You getting worried? Hold on, let me turn my volume up. One sec. There we go. How are we? Are you guys worried? Are you stressed? Are you bothered by all of this? You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be worried about this. You shouldn't be stressed. It's not Sully versus Ornstein. It's not all that. And I don't want to do that big thing. I don't want to do this big old like drama. I don't want to do this big old drama. I'll tell you exactly what's going on here in a minute on Mbeumo. Okay. I'll tell you in just a sec. It's not. It's not even a bad bomba. It's not a big deal. I'll tell you exactly what is going on. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. Nothing to worry about. Nothing of bother. Warren, welcome to the Pro Muppet. We should have TTS on today. It should be on. It should be working. Let me run a little test here. Because it is Friday, but I will get to. I won't. We're not going to have too many.
This is a test YouTube membership.
There you go. All right, so it does work. I can confirm. No, it's not. Look, how was I wrong? I'm absolutely not wrong. It's exactly what I said. The situation is exactly what I said. To a letter, the exact thing that I said. And I'll even show you. Look, right here. I will even show you. It is exactly as I said. There. No, again, why don't you look right here, all right? Look here, I'll just pull this up so you can read, first of all, Sully's latest tweet, okay? Correct, Issa. I did say I did not hear that it was fully agreed. I said that all week, that it was not imminent, and that it was not fully agreed. I've always said that the entire week. I said that. I said it's close, and it is. But look here. I'll show you. Look at what Sully wrote here. Full agreement on the base fee and are finalizing the add-ons, all right? Is that exactly what I've said all week or not? Yes, it is. It's exactly what I've said all week. That is exactly where things are at. That's exactly what we've been working on. That we are working on the structure of the add-ons and the overall deal. And sometimes those things change a little bit at that time. Calm down. Everything's okay. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Do we move on?
Listen to
Should we move on?
No, we should not move on, and we won't move on. We will get it done. Why reject the bid? Because a bid... Okay. All right. Let's explain for just a moment the bid. All right. Give me 1 second. Let me just retweet this because I need to get interactions and get people in here. Okay. And like the video while I'm doing this. What the hell? Is Twitter broken? There we go. All right. Just need to get people to join. So just hold, please. Let's pin it. Okay. All right. Got an interaction farm. It's Friday. I gotta get as many people in. But a lot of times people take a few minutes to go. You know what I mean? A lot of times people take a few minutes to get in. To here. So I don't want to have to repeat myself a bunch of times. So I'm just letting some people kind of file in here. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Will you do a forfeit if Mbeumo doesn't sign?
Forfeit? What do you mean?
Emoji.
What does that mean, a forfeit, if Mbeumo doesn't sign? If you snooze, you lose. Go back. What do you mean, a forfeit? What does that mean? I don't negotiate the deal, so I'm not going to promise anything. What is a forfeit? Is that a punishment? Why would I be punished? I don't negotiate the deals. I'd rather do something if someone signs because that's a lot more fun. If we don't get a deal done, I don't want to do anything. That sucks. That sucks just as much for me. I don't negotiate the damn thing. I can't make them agree a deal any quicker or slower or anything like that. um, I will happily do something when if somebody does sign. I already agreed to that on Gyökeres, and that's maybe still on the table. We'll see. We'll come back to that. Um, but yeah, no. Look, here's the reality. Okay, one thing to understand. All right, shave your head. No, I already said a die. Right. Here's the thing. A bid. Okay, is the just in detail. A bid is the full offer. Okay, a bid has the cost, the add-ons, the installments, the makeup of the add-ons, everything. If a bid is not accepted, it is rejected. You understand? So if you want to know like when you send a bid in and it's not accepted and you're negotiating over the details of the bid, that bid was rejected. Well, I mean, they don't even have to officially reject it. They could technically not respond to it. But that bid is an official commitment to I will pay this amount if you accept it, and it'll go into the transfer matching system and all of that, right? Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Bit disappointed by Ornstein, feels like he's made a bit of an interaction tweet there. It was always about add-ons and the Kuna comparison on price.
Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
We will be there if Gyökeres signs with Man United, eyes emoji.
For sure, for sure. Well, look, rejected equals not accepted, exactly. But that's the truth of it. So if you're talking about changing the add-on structure, then your bid is getting rejected. That's just the truth. That's how it works. Because again, the details of what an actual bid entails and why a bid matters is a bid is genuinely a written offer that is financially binding. So it must include all of the details of what is being offered. Okay. Because it is essentially binding. Ooh, all right. Calm down. Everything's okay.
Watching some games back, we must move Onana on.
Sure, I agree. We'll talk about keepers too today because I want to talk about keepers and I want to talk to Sancho a bit as well. Let's be honest, James Mbeumo's worth one. Look, here's the reality of it. Mbeumo's worth 65 million. In this market, he's 100% worth 65 million. Isn't he? Why wouldn't he be worth 65 million? Calm down. Everything's okay.
Mbeumo and his agent need to go to work.
Well, that's what he's doing, right? That's what he's doing right now. That's what he's doing right now. You take the briefing like that. Mbeumo only wants United, won't go to Tottenham, irrelevant, all of that kind of stuff. That's what he's saying is, look, stop dicking around the final details. I want to be there for training next week, right? That's what he's saying. That's what this article, that's what this whole brief from Ornstein and all of that is. This whole thing is like, hey, get this deal done, guys, because I'm not going anywhere else. So you need to hash this deal out and get it finished now because July 7th, 10 days from now, I need to be at United training. I want to go there. I'm not going anywhere else. And I want this move, and you have to sort a deal out. So that's the reason. That's what we have to do. Ornstein said, it doesn't matter. The amount is too low because, look, if 55 million is too low, if they don't like the add-ons, then they're looking at 55, not even 62 and a half.
How's he played for so many big clubs? It's mind bog.
Yeah, you mean Sancho, I imagine. But yeah. No, look, it's like, of course it's too low. If it's high enough, it's accepted. But it's like, what does it mean too low? Maybe, if you're going to do add-ons that they don't like, this is why I said, even when you're discussing add-ons, the structure of the deal is likely to change because let's say your 7.5 is like, let's imagine your 7.5 in add-ons is like 5 million for 50 goals, 2.5 million for 30 appearances or something. And then they're like, all right, well, we want $5 million for those 30 appearances, since since that's an easier add-on, that'll give us more. Well, sure, like the whole thing could change a little in those kinds of details, when you're just discussing that. The point being, if they want easier add-ons, great. If you don't want easier add-ons, and the add-ons themselves are okay, then you want more from the harder add-ons. So, it's basically, could Brighton give a counter offer on the add-on structure of Brentford? Well, that's what they're doing. That's what the conversations are. They're going back and forth and discussing what does a deal look like. Because look, here's the thing, right? This is why, like, you could take 55 plus 7.5. And you could say, well, it's not enough. All right, 55 plus 10. Okay, but what about 60 flat? Is that better than 55 plus 10? It depends. It depends on the add-ons. It depends on the club. So you could end up with a lower, like, let's say we went up to 60 million guaranteed. Maybe they'd accept that. And it would be less, but it would be 60. It would be more, but it would be less. You know what I mean? So these things change a lot in these final conversations and things like that. Why do the conversations take so long? Well, it hasn't been, first was us being willing to go up with the guarantee, and now, it's like there are people who reported the guaranteed amount is fine. There was a number of people who reported that. You were sure we'd do this deal for 50 to 60 earlier in the window? Yeah, I think we're still around there. I mean, we're only at 55 right now. Remember, add-ons, we don't know what's in the add-ons. So as of today, we don't know. As of today, it's a 55 million offer. What if those add-ons are really tough? We don't know. Those add-ons might be really tough. The ones we propose, they could be a Ballon d'Or clause. You know what I mean? And then effectively our deal is 55 million. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we offered 62.5 up front, they'd probably take it. Right, exactly, Rob. Like, how much Brentford want up front from the guaranteed amount, right? Yeah. Add-on structure doesn't change the base fee. It can. Why can't it? If you want harder add-ons, you'll want more guaranteed. If you want easier add-ons, you'll want less guaranteed. Like, those things can change in the last bit of a deal, those things can all change here. I'm just going to do my regular like poll. If they were still going to go back in, why give 7.5 and not straight 10? Because the reason for the conversation took as long as the second bit. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, we don't totally have it clear exactly what, Brentford want. We don't really know exactly what Brentford want. We aren't upping the base fee that's already agreed. It doesn't matter. Look, the reason why I say, to not worry about those types of things at the end of a deal is because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether the base fee is agreed. The base fee could change as a part of negotiating the add-ons. So could the total fee. Like, they might be saying, cool, we're happy with 55 million, but we want easier add-ons. And we're saying, again, you could go 55 base plus 10, and we could say, well, actually, we'd rather just pay 60 million up front and not do the plus 10. There's different things that could happen. You can offer more base fee to change the add-ons. The Brentford guy says they wanted 63 million, and we gave it to him. Well, technically, we gave him 62.5. But, again, nature of the add-ons, nature of the payment structures, all of that kind of stuff can matter. Point being that when we bid earlier in the week and we had discussions, the second bid led to discussions to try to find the full agreement on the deal. So I'm not worried about the rejected versus accepted aspect of the second bid. We knew it was rejected because they didn't accept it on Monday. That's what rejected is. There's rejected or accepted. There's no in between there. When we made the bid on Monday and it wasn't accepted right away and we continued negotiating, that means it was rejected, essentially. It just maybe not officially rejected until today or yesterday, or who cares, right? That doesn't particularly matter. But if they were going to accept that bid exactly as it was on Monday, it would have been done on Monday. That's all. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
It's probably all a game to drag it past July 1st.
It could be to a degree. Look, all I know is this, all right? And this is what I can say factually that I've maintained this week. One, that the second bid brought us closer back to concrete negotiations over the details and structure of a deal. Two, that they were pretty happy with with most of the structures, but not necessarily the add-ons. Number three, on Wednesday morning, when I said on my video, it was not imminent. And I've repeated that all week. It is not imminent. So from my understanding, that when I've heard that it's not imminent, it means there's more work to do. And generally when that happens, I think a week, a few more days. And so that's why I figure I'm not particularly surprised. And I think we'll just have it wrapped up next week. The important date is that it's done next week and that they'll come in on by July 7th. That's what matters more than anything. And I think that's what Mbeumo is pushing for as well, obviously on his side, with all of the information, with everything there. He's pushing for on his side to say, hey, we need to get this done ASAP. You know what I mean? That's the reality of the situation. But look, he's on holiday at the moment and expected back next week. And the end of next week is the end of time before preseason. There's only one more week, and then we're back to preseason training. So apparently we want 4 other signings after Mbeumo per Paul Hurst. Yeah, I would say so for sure. So let's see. So yeah, look, that's what it is. Obviously, until it's done, it's done. I'm not really concerned by it. No, I think that we're again close enough that the likelihood of these deals not getting done is extremely low at this stage. But we'll see. Gittins is going for 55. I mean, that is an insane price, Issa. The reality is that if Mbeumo wasn't 1 year left on his contract, they'd probably for sure be asking for 75 million. You know what I mean? So yeah. Have you seen how hard Lenny and Kabi are working? Yeah, it's very exciting to see that. Very, very exciting to see Kabi working that way, and Lenny too, obviously. But Kabi was the one where, as I heard all before summer, he really wanted to get fit, fully fit, because the biggest concern Ruben Amorim has with Kabi is that this last season he's looked rough fitness wise in terms of his ability to get around the pitch, and at speed, and he looks strong, he looks fit, he looks slim, and I think he's gonna have this is the season for Kabi to really break out and be the guy he can be, and I think that'll happen this season by the end of the season. So yeah, I mean, look, it is what it is, guys. Mbeumo's I'm positive it'll happen, but it'll take some time. No, obviously it'll take some time. It's taken some time, but as long as it's done next week, then I'm not particularly, then I have no concern about it. It is what it is. I don't think I don't think we're fleeced. I don't think it's a bad deal. I don't think we're getting, run around or anything like that. I don't know, man. Brentford are being tough. We're trying to be tough. It is what it is. On that front. Yeah, Tony had a few other issues, to be fair. But I would love to sit here and cause panic and get all the views talking about how the whole deal is screwed and everything is going to be obnoxious and all of that, but it's just not. Yeah. I mean, Solanke was 60 million, and Solanke was more. Let's see, how much did Solanke go for? It was 27. Internet was taking for fucking ever to load. 65 million pounds. It's not like we're getting fleeced here. Are you like me where you can't hold your excitement to see? I'm very excited to see Cunha play. 65 million, yeah, for Solanke. So that's probably about right on the price. I mean, I think Mbeumo is much better than Solanke, to be fair. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and Bournemouth wants 70 for Semenyo. Like, these prices out there are wild. I mean, prices out there are crazy. But yeah, I think Cunha is going to be the player who makes us work. The team improves the most with Cunha. I think Mbeumo will probably be a more impactful attacker, but I think that Cunha will help the team more. We should walk it. If I thought you said Vinos have valuations of players, and if not, they'll walk away. Sure. What's their valuation of Mbeumo? Because I would bet you it's about 60 to 62 million. That's what I would bet. We'll talk about Sancho in a minute, but I need to make very clear, as I talked about this morning, the only person to listen to in Turkey is Yagiz. There's the only one person to listen to in Turkey for any reports is Yagiz. If he says that Fenerbahce have backed out, then they've backed out. If he hasn't said that, then they haven't. He's the only person worth listening to in Turkey from reports. It's like Ornstein level, and then it's like nothing. You just listen to Yagiz. Portugal, it really depends on the club, to be quite honest. Very much depends on the club. Portugal's a little more chaotic. Yeah, exactly, Anish. And Mbeumo scores more, Cunha assists, and knits the play better. That's exactly how I feel. I think. What's his Twitter? It's here. I'll just pull it up on stream because I shared this in the earlier video. Hold on. I shared what he said in the earlier video. That was aggregated by United exclusive. Yes, Yabiz Sabuncuoglu. Sabun. I'll get it right. Hold on one sec, guys. Here. This is what he said earlier. This is what was posted earlier, okay? Yagiz Sabuncuoglu, okay? That's the guy to listen to in Turkey for anything. Fenerbahce, with Mourinho's approval, held an official meeting with Sancho. They approached the player and inquired about his conditions. Fenerbahce did not make a written offer in an official capacity. After learning Jadon Sancho's conditions, contact was made again, but no progress was achieved. Napoli made an official offer to the player with a salary that was almost 50% what he wanted. He rejected it. Juventus came to the table. Sancho wants to play for Juventus, but Juventus offer a very low salary. The only club that can meet the net salary is Fenerbahce, but Sancho favors a move to a team who plays in the top 5 leagues of the world. So that's exactly what I said 2 days ago, word for word, what I said 2 days ago. He wants the move to Italy, but Fenerbahce are offering the money that he wants. So he's trying to play the Italian clubs to give him more money or force us into accepting some kind of deal that gets him his money and lets him go to Italy, to Napoli or Juventus. And that's the reality of the situation. Fenerbahce are the money. The other clubs are the. Somehow I moved my my screen a little bit. That might be part of the issue. And Fenerbahce are the money, and Italy is where he would prefer to go. He doesn't say Fenerbahce have walked away. He just says that they haven't made progress because he wants to play in Italy at the moment. But they're the ones who can meet his wage demands. So, yeah. Don't know. I don't know where it's going to end up. But I still think it's good in that there's obviously a situation here where he either like we that's why United have taken a stance. We're not going to, you know, solve this wage issue for you. You figure it out because we want to force him. If you want the money, go to Fenerbahce. Otherwise, take less and go to Italy and play where you want. That's the reality of it. We cannot sanction loan. The problem is the wages, Hamza. That's always the problem, is the wages. Chelsea pay half our wages, especially for all these guys who were signed, pre last season. They pay half the wages that we pay. It's a lot easier to move. If Sancho was on normal wages, he would be gone by now. If Sancho was on 150K, he'd be gone by now. If Rashford was on 150K, he'd be gone right now. If Antony was on 100K, it would be even easier, though he's willing to accept a cut, which is partially why it makes it pretty easy. If Onana was on 100K, he'd probably be gone right now. If Højlund's a big fee problem more than a wages problem. But the rest of them, that is essentially the issue. That is essentially the issue. And 7-8 years contract. Yeah, true, but I mean, I don't think they've sold a bunch of the guys who are on 7-8 year contracts. Have they? I'm not aware of them having sold a bunch of those guys. I could be wrong, but it's interesting that apparently Oyedele might go to Brentford now to replace Norgard. But yeah. No, so look, I mean, I'm not worried in the slightest about the situation with Mbeumo. Yagi's latest tweet says Fenerbahce are in Colombia for face-to-face meetings with John Duran as representatives, and that's interesting. That's probably going to be fairly expensive, to be quite honest. Why did we sell Oyedele and buy an inferior player? Oh my god, ain't gonna go there. What's the problem on Mbeumo? No, it's not the problem on Mbeumo. Again, preseason doesn't start until July 7th, okay? Doesn't start until July 7th. So just relax. Look, I feel like I tried to prepare you all week for this. How many times did I say from Wednesday onward that this was not going to happen overnight? That this was not going to be imminent. We might have to wait a few days to next week to have Mbeumo done. I spent all week talking about that because I knew people were going to start to get really upset as we got to the weekend, especially if reports came out that, stuff like this. But it is what it is. It's okay. It is okay. This is fine, that's the only concern. Like, I think people get too excited about it being done, you know what I mean? And then it takes a few more days. Problem is everyone else says imminent. I mean, this is why I didn't go live yesterday, to be quite honest, because I was like, I'm looking at these things coming out about the medical next week, and I'm not even saying it's not true, but my point is, when I'm not saying that's not true, but like, people's perceptions get so muddled, you know what I mean? And they see that, and then they're like, oh, it's all done, everything's done. We're almost there, but we weren't going to get anything official till next week, so it's okay. So look, it's fine, guys. It is fine. We'll get Mbeumo. I'm completely confident that we will get him. We haven't walked away. It's close enough Everybody's going to walk away a little unhappy from this deal, and that's what a good negotiation is. A lot of times people think a good negotiation is everybody walks away happy. More often than not, it's everybody walks away a little unhappy. And I think that we'll get there in the end. But soon. But no, look, I mean, I think I will say this as well, right? I don't think walking away is the right thing to do. But part of being tough negotiators and changing our reputation, sometimes we do have to drag the negotiations a bit and not just keel over instantly and hand them the money that they want. Just the fact that it's taken a month, essentially, it's not actually. It's taken like 24 days, 23 days. Actually, our first bid was what, like 3.5 weeks? So it'll be almost a month by the time it's done. But just because of that, a lot of clubs will look and say, all right, they don't just fold and pay right away, and pay that. And that's fine. We still haven't gone like into some insane territory on the fee. I mean, look at the deals that really screwed us. Højlund for £72 million. We're not even close to that for a much better player. Antony, £80 million. We're not even close to that for a much better player. We're way better we're in a much better position than this. It doesn't mean it's going to take that long to do other deals as well. Yeah, I agree with that, Rick, as well on that, by the way. I totally agree. It doesn't mean it's going to take as long, but it's all just getting it into there. Ineos are choosing to pay PL tax, but they're also committing to negotiation. Correct. Yep. Correct. We're paying the Premier League tax. But they're committing to following through on it to get it done fully. Anything under 60. Look, I think when you look at his numbers, anything under 65. Yeah, I think anything under. I mean, Florian Wirtz is 130 million. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think he's better than Mbeumo. We'll see in the Premier League next season. We'll see in the Premier League next season. I don't think there's like many players in the whole world who are worth that kind of money. My opinion anyway. But we'll see. We'll see next season what happens. I mean, I'd be shocked if Wirtz equals the numbers that Mbeumo did last year, or even comes close to it. I'd be absolutely shocked. I'm gonna be careful here. If this isn't done by next, 100%, John. If we're not having this done like midweek, so that we can get to the if we don't have this done midweek, so that he's ready to arrive on July 7th, then it starts to become a problematic. You don't want him to return to training with Brentford and then things drag and stuff like that. Like, he needs to be here next week. By the end of next week, he needs to be in Manchester, doing his medical and joining training on the 7th. We need multiple players in. We need that. For sure. Why haven't Betis still bid for Antony? Well, they're still working on their sales, and I still think it'll be after July 1, to be quite honest for that. I still think that Antony gets done after July 1. I think a few of our sales, nothing's going to happen until after July 1. Ooh, calm down. Everything's okay.
Do you mind reading Premier League panel recent tweet?
Premier League panel? Who is this? Who is that? Premier League panel. Manu, is this the one about Manu you want me to read? He says, Manu needs to play at left center mid of a midfield 3. It could not be any more obvious. Even has good shooting after dribbling from the left half space, and he needs license to run in the final third with his dribbling instead of being asked to be a passer, key part of the rest defense. I would agree that in general his best position would be as a third midfielder in a 3, but I actually think that this 8, where Bruno is going to play most of the season, very likely is also a very good fit for him. Because when an Amarin team is flying, bear in mind, like, the 8 in the midfield, because you have the extra center back, in theory, if the extra center back pushes up into the midfield, that 8 moves up. It's basically a 1 in the third, unless you mean something different. You say you think Amarim and Man United are missing a trick with their squad building. Their midfield ball progression and midfield defensive work is a major issue. They can progress via dribbling, but they can progress via passing with Bruno. Bruno cannot play as a double pivot, but 3-5-2 with a midfield 3 of Manu press resistant ball winner. I mean, look, you're going to get a billion different opinions about how you build a team. Ruben Amorim knows how he wants to play. I don't think a 3-5-2 is actually a good system for the Premier League. It doesn't have enough box occupation. I don't think it will ever have enough box occupation to score goals. But we'll see. Look, a 3-4-3 is not that different to a 4-2-3-1 once you actually get going, and I think that's how it'll work. At the end of the day, plenty of teams play a 4-2-3-1. It's not really that different once you get into it. When it's working, and when you get up as well. So look, yeah, there's not much more to say on the Mbeumo thing. I won't take forever on it. But that's just the reality, is that this was going to take a little bit of time, and we'll get there. We'll get there. But it was never going to be this week as of Wednesday. So, yeah. But it's also like, look, I'm just not worried about it. Add-ons are add-on structures, payment structures, these types of things, they matter. And they determine what an offer looks like and what a deal looks like. So, yeah. I'll briefly touch on Sancho again, and then I want to talk about keepers a little bit, okay? Then I definitely want to talk about keepers a little bit. All right, so on Sancho again, just to make it very clear what the situation is as of at least yesterday. I mean, if Fenerbahce or one of these clubs walk away, that's fine. Juventus are pushing really hard for him. Have at the moment moved ahead. Now I'm really curious about that one because I'm really curious about that one because of the potential players that could go the other way, like Douglas Luiz or someone like that we've had an interest in the past, that we've spoken about in the past. So could there be something there? Because that might be an instance where Juventus are willing to offer a bit more money to Sancho or get something mixed in or something like that makes the deal easier for all parties if we're to take somebody like Douglas Luiz. So I'm curious to see about that one and how that works, or if there's anything in that there. Napoli have been put off essentially by the wage demands, which we knew. At the moment, they're not going any higher. Jadon Sancho is prioritizing that move to Italy at the moment over Fenerbahce, but Fenerbahce are offering or potentially offering the money that he wants. Sancho is trying to get Italy to increase the costs or increase their offers, their wages, and all of that. So, that's kind of where it stands. It's unfortunately up to Sancho at this point in time, what happens there. But hopefully something gets done before everybody walks away from him, because I was feeling pretty optimistic about it. I'm still pretty optimistic because there are options on the table. Juventus are quite keen, but yeah, they're quite keen. Have you been told something? Yeah, I've been told many times that we've looked at Douglas Luiz and maintained an interest in him. I'm not saying that we've actively currently had talks, but it's almost certain that Juventus will offer him to us. That's why I'm bringing it up. So that's why I'm doing that. Then there's keepers, and I want to make a couple points very, very clear on keepers. Number one, United have not made any offers or have any talks with clubs over a new keeper as of yet. So, like, there were some rumors about Carnesecchi yesterday. Not true. We've not made an offer to Atlanta. We have not spoken to Atalanta about him. We've not proposed a price for him. Nothing like that. Not for any keeper. At this point in time, we've just checked out a lot of keepers over the course of the season, all year. There's talk of like Jean Victor. We've looked at him. There was Trafford, who looks like he's going to Newcastle, as we know. Carnesecchi, one we've watched. Then there's the older ones. There's Vanya. There's Emi Martinez. Like, there's probably 8. Lamens, of course, being a top one that we've looked at as well. There's probably 8 or 9 keepers that we've actually looked at and talked to, checked in with agents and things like that. And I would suggest that we are still doing that as of now, just to know what all our options are. Onana replacements, Onana competition, 2 different categories. Then there's Svilar, Miles Svilar. That's one that we might have looked at as well. I don't remember where does he play again. Miles Svilar, the Serbian keeper. Where does he play? Roma. I believe we've watched him as well. The Belgian and Roma. So yeah, made the mistake against us. So there's a lot of keepers on the table, but United have not started talks for them. We want to know, obviously we're going to see how much money we have left at the end of the day. We'll see how much we sell, what we end up buying at striker, what we end up buying at other priorities. And this definitely seems like a window that'll be something that'll be done late. There's a difference between checking in with agents throughout the year and checking in with agents during the summer and such as well. But the point is this, like, over the course of the season, you might see 100 players, 50 players. Over the course of January to May, you narrow it down to like 15. And then you start narrowing it down to like the order of all of your players, and then you're getting to like 5 to 8. And sometimes you're narrowing it down to like 2 or 3. Right now, I understand people feeling like, hey, we're only working on one deal. The next ones are going to take ages, things like that. Not necessarily. First and foremost, this is what happens when we deal with teams in the Premier League. We either get rinsed or the negotiations take a long time. That's just the truth of it. I mean, this has been going on forever, and it's something that's hard to change. And I think it's a big reason why we intended to buy Premier League players last year and then didn't. When you look at everything that happened, when you look at everything that's happened, it's like, great. You know what I mean? This is how it goes. This is what happens when we're starting to actually talk with Premier League clubs and things like that. That you start to, it takes a while. But at the same time, we've made 5 or 6 checks on strikers, so we know that situation. We've made a bunch of checks at goalkeeper, so we know that situation. And we made a bunch of checks on, the one where we don't know whether we've made much checks on is the midfield. That's the one I'm not sure about, because we're still not really seeing much there. We got some basic links to like Nemcha. So Nemcha is an interesting one because we had links to him early in the window, like earlier in the year, like April, the first place. And I put him in my midfielders video. He's a good midfielder, former City Academy. He's funnily, like, he is more stylistically, like a 6. I think that he's much more of a like if you were to compare him to Ugarte or something like that we have right now, he is better technically, but I don't think athletically or physically. He's had a lot of injuries, unfortunately, and he's got a rough track record there, and I don't think that that represents very well that he would be able to transition into covering the type of ground that we need. My understanding at the time when we were first linked to him was that while there was like a tacit, like, small interest, I was mostly steered away from him as being a serious topic at the time. in part because the types of prices that you're talking about there, 50, 60 million, double what they would have considered him at if he was to be an option. He's not someone they want to that they value like that, that they see at that level at all. It's a risk with the injuries, with other things like that. So it may, again, I think it's this just another name that we've checked in on. That doesn't mean we're pursuing, to know what would be the price, what would be on offer, what would be there. Um, and if it's the 50, 60 million range, not happening. Not even, we're not even going to approach a conversation. We'll need it to be significantly less than this. So, that's one of the only kind of names we've sort of been linked to in recent times. But there's a couple. There's like, Liverpool did not get Kirkes quickly. Liverpool wanted Kirkes in January. It took them 6 months to get Kirkes, by the way. They did not get him quickly. Again, I would also just point something out here that I really do want to point people out. That I think people really, really, really are underrating a certain aspect. Okay. All right. Kirkes took a long time to get done. Listen. All right. Listen. Fucking ads. This was Liverpool's summer last year. This was it. Chiesa. They got one player last summer. And then Marmadashvili was what, January? These have been being worked on for like a year. It's been like a year. Because they didn't do business last summer. They looked at all the targets they wanted. They got them kind of lining up. They've been interested in Frimpong for a year. They were considering Frimpong for a year. Kirkes was for a year. This is all stuff that they didn't do last summer and in January because they changed managers and did all of this. They've been working on these targets a long, 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 long time. Every single one so far have been a long, long time for them. Okay. And that's great. But it's not like these things were fast. And the other factor is you just don't follow Liverpool transfers in the same depth that you do United. So you feel like everything's really slow here. And City are the same, by the way. City are the same. City made fuck all transfers last year. And then this year, they've got a bunch in the door between January and now. But you actually add it up, they've still made fewer transfers than we did last year and right now. I think it's about the same amount of money being spent by all three clubs over the last 12 months. So it's really not that different. The date that matters is preseason. That's the date that matters. So yes, again, on keepers, made all those checks. So United have made the checks. And where I would say that they're at as of now is they know who they want to get at striker, at midfielder, and at goalkeeper. Midfielder, maybe not so much. I'm not actually sure there. But we need some sales, and we're kind of waiting for the Gyökeres situation to sort out a little bit as well. We definitely need sales. There was that interesting story about someone joining Ruben Amorim from Portugal, from Braga. I don't know anything about that individual or that, but I do know that we have replaced someone. Like, we've let go of some staff that were managing kind of the squad and helping in some of these things. So it would make sense if we're looking to a new hire. And again, this might be just a part of this whole thing of like changing culture, head of football operations. Yeah, like we've let a lot of people go, and so it may well be that we're looking to bring fresh people in for these types of positions to manage stuff. Correct, Morton. There is a huge difference to what United can pay. We just don't have the finance and the PSR and stuff that these other clubs do. So, it's never going to be quite as fast. But look, man. As I always say, I'm not here to be negative. I'm not here to spur panic or anything like that. I felt a little bit like the Grim Reaper this last week, or because I don't like being negative, but I did feel a little bit like the Grim Reaper this last week, like continuously saying Mbeumo would take some time, and not like getting all giddy about all the reports because on Mbeumo, because it is what it is. It's funny, like if you've been following transfers, people always would make jokes about like negative Simon Stone, like he'd always say like not deal not on the verge, and then that means it's basically almost there, and then but it's going to be a few more days and then it will get done. Um and that's kind of how I felt like this week, like it's going to happen, guys, but like it just wasn't so imminent, and I think people are getting really excited, which is fine, which is good, but and we should be excited, but yeah, I've kind of almost, man, after doing this so many times, following all this, doing all these videos, doing all this stuff, I'm just not. I'll wait until I want to see them play. I'm excited. I'll be very excited about Cunha when I see him play for United. I'll be very excited about Mbeumo when I see him play for United. Even in training, even in preseason, doesn't matter. That's what it's going to excite me, because I want to see good football. I want to see them on the pitch. I I think it's great when we're making these signings and all that, but let's get there. Let's see them on the pitch. That's what matters. As long as they're there on the pitch, that's what matters. Yeah, City and Liverpool moved so fast. I mean, they did. They do move. They are moving quick. But at the same time, again, we're not competing with them. We're competing with Bournemouth, Brentford, Aston Villa, Newcastle. Look at it this way. Stop comparing yourself to right now. United fans are doing this thing, right? You're comparing yourself. You're scrolling TikTok or your Instagram Reels. Here we go. Here comes the analogy of the day. You're sitting there. You're a single guy. You're scrolling your Reels, looking at all these guys, posting their, perfect bodies on and getting all this admiration and comments from women. You're posting all this stuff and you're going, I'm so far behind. You're not competing with those guys, my dude. Sorry. It's time to accept reality. You're sitting there like me, slightly overweight, got some work to do, got to build yourself back up a little bit. Who are you competing with? You're competing with the other guy sitting on Instagram, scrolling through the reels saying, how can I compete with these guys? That's who you're competing with, okay? That's who you're competing with. That's who we're competing with. And Newcastle are who we're competing with, okay? And what's happening with Newcastle? They're fucking losing their shit, blaming us for their window being crap. Because they're getting rejected for João Pedro. They're getting rejected for Mbeumo. They're getting rejected for Trafford. They're getting rejected for Alanga. They're getting rejected for everybody. Are we having a better window than Newcastle? Yup. Are we having a better window than Aston Villa? Yup. Are we having a better window than Bournemouth? Yup. Are we having a better window than Brentford? Yup. Are we having a better window than Crystal Palace? Yup. Most of them have gotten weaker. We're getting stronger. That's who we're competing with first. Then we will compete with City and Liverpool. We can't compete with them today. We can't. Get up off the couch first, get to the gym, and you're miles ahead of everybody who's still on the couch. Later on, you can compete with the guys who are there every day, because we're not there every day yet. All right? Better than Spurs. Right now, better than Arsenal. I think we're having a better window than Arsenal, too. I don't rate Arsenal signings at all. I think they're incredibly mediocre. When we get Mbeumo done, we will be doing bigger things than these guys. Less add-ons, more upfront. Like I said, well, he just says a large portion. I mean, that doesn't say much of anything, does it? What does it actually say? Hold on. I'll pull it up because I want to see what the report actually says. If it says that, whatever, I wouldn't be surprised. Whatever it says. Let's see. Want closer to 62.5 million. So that's, these guys can't get their numbers straight. All of them. I'm not blaming them. Everybody hears things a little bit differently. Hearst's report says it's a 60 million bid. I said it's a quick one tonight. We're still under an hour. We're good. I don't blame them. But this one says it's a 60 million bid and they want 62.5. So it may, again, maybe easier add-ons, maybe the structure changes a little bit. Who cares, honestly? I want to read the actual article itself, though. Can't watch with that calm down shit going off all the time. Sorry, I'm not a little kid. I don't know if it pisses you off that much. That might be a you problem. Part of also not being a little kid is being able to deal with little annoyances without overreacting to them. It was only like 10 times. It's been an hour. Dawson said we bid 62.5. They want 65. See, everybody's got a slightly different number. That's why I'm not like giving anybody a hard time about the exact details here. Like I said, all that I know was that it wasn't happening this week. Let's see. This one says Brentford have told Manchester United have to return with a larger offer, rejecting an overall package worth 62.5. They're holding out for more than 62.5, including add-ons. Okay, so including add-ons. We'll have to go beyond the 65 million. All right. So there you go. Hold on. So Rob Dawson, ESPN, says that the base fee of 60 million is agreed. I've never said the exact numbers because I don't know them. He says the base fee is 60 million, but we need to go up a little bit higher. So everybody's disagreeing on the numbers a little bit here. So maybe 60 plus 5 gets it done. Everybody's got a different number. Let's see. Hearst says our offer is worth 60 with 50. Let's see. They want a large chunk paid up front. Sancho's a subject of interest from Fenerbahce. So let's see. You've got Ornstein 55 plus 7.5. Dawson 60 flat. And they want 60 plus 5. Hearst 55 plus 5. So those are all three different numbers. It's pretty funny. All three different numbers, which is fine. Like I said, people hear things from different people all the time. It is what it is. It's not happening this week. We're in discussions. It is what it is. It is what it is, my dude. Add-ons will sort it out. But again, that's why I said, look, the base fee could certainly change too. I mean, the base fee could certainly change too when you're negotiating add-ons and shit like that. Like, nothing's actually changed from yesterday. We're just negotiating the details of the deal. It's kind of funny because you have like 3 different people saying we've agreed the base fee, but they're all differing on the amount of the base fee. And I think that's kind of amusing. I think 60 plus 5 will be our final offer. I think we might do 60 plus 5 or 62.5 flat might be where we end up at the end of the day. I could see either of those things happening. 63 I mean, it's funny, you know, because according to Ornstein, we made the exact total bid of the Cunha amount, which is what I said 3 weeks ago, that we were talking about the Cunha money now. But it's taking a long time. That's all right. It's okay. Basically, nobody knows the numbers. Yeah, I feel that that's true. How fast are we putting in a new offer? Not fast. We'll negotiate it, and like yeah. I mean, I said this kind of before to a degree, and it hasn't quite worked out this way. But I do think now, obviously, they're just gonna talk, and then it'll be a sudden agreement that the deal is done, or it will be off. I think it's 99-1 in one direction, but still. Um, I don't think we'll hear about more offers. I think it'll just be deal agreed and accepted at the next, you know, or like there's no more offers. It just is what it is. So, bunch of striker names we know that we're waiting on that situation. A bunch of people say there's agreement on the base fee, SK. Like a ton of people keep saying that, but they all have different numbers. I wouldn't be look. All I'd heard was that it wasn't happening this week, wasn't imminent. I shouldn't say that. What I heard was it wasn't imminent, and that we were discussing add-ons. Those are the things that I knew, and still negotiating on that. So it is what it is. We've got a bunch of names lined up at striker. We've got a bunch at goalkeeper. It is interesting. We haven't heard much about the midfield, though. I just wonder. We hear a little bit on Nemcha. We hear a little bit on that Belgian kid. We hear a little bit on Ndidi. Were those the start of little just basic checks into different midfielders? Don't know. The biggest thing, though, that we do need now, next week, Ornstein didn't say we agree to base fee. He didn't say anything like that. Next week, we need Sancho, you know, Juve, Fenerbahce, Napoli drama to end, and for him to be getting close to a deal there. Como should come in for Anthony and hopefully have it wrapped up so they can do it after July 1. And then Como wrapping up their purchases of Batiste's deal so that Batiste can buy Anthony, and hopefully that'll be wrapped up after July 1. If all those things go through kind of as expected, and they're all heading the right way, then Mbeumo, Sancho, Anthony, and then hopefully we're ready then to move on to our next target and no. I think at that point in time, what we should do is do the Lenny Yoro on Gyökeres, put the bid into Sporting, agree a fee, now or never. See you later. And yeah. Now what do you guys make of this Casemiro situation? With Ronaldo being the de facto part owner, sporting director at Al Nassr, what do you think happens here? Do you think he brings Casemiro in? I know for a fact that he had been pushing Casemiro earlier to come join him. Does he buy him? What do you guys think? Anything? The first report that came out in the week was supposedly a somewhat decent one. Casemiro won't go yet. I don't think it's a money factor. The finances will be great at Al Nassr. Who will be the striker signing? I still think Gyökeres is the most likely player to buy, to be quite honest. But I could be totally wrong. I'm not sure Casemiro will go there. It's a different lifestyle. That's true too. He might just consider staying for another year and then he can have his pick free. No, Como won't sign Anthony. They're signing a Batiste winger, and it should free up the funds and space for Anthony at Batiste. Is what I meant to say. They're not going to sign Anthony. He's already pushed that back. Let's see. Oof. Fenerbahce has accepted all demands from Jean Duran and his representative. Uh-oh. Might be losing our Sancho leverage here. Well, to be fair, he might be losing it and have to accept Juventus, but if he wanted the money, he might have lost his chance. All right. I think that's it, guys. I think I've addressed everything. I don't know that I want to spend too much more time talking today. Um, have backup in case Gyökeres. If we don't get Gyökeres, well, you know what's interesting? Yeah, yeah. Duran is a striker. That's different from Sancho. That's true. That's true. If we don't get Gyökeres, it's not like we don't have other targets. I mean, we're kind of yapping. I'm happy to yap, but what the hell else am I going to yap about today? It's been a long week. It's been a long week. I haven't slept well this week. Completely irrelevant. But it's been a long week, man. It's been a long week. Go away. Mean. Watkins, yeah, I agree. I think that we will have other alternatives, no doubt about that. We will definitely have other alternatives that we could move on. Um, I'm just interested to see if we're ready. Weekend plans. I don't know. I don't think I have anything particular scheduled for this weekend. You'd be gutted if we sign Watkins. Why? Watkins is good, man. Watkins is good. Ollie Watkins is a quality. Ooh, what does Simon Stone say? Hold on a sec. Or Semi Mockbell. So he matches Ornstein's number. Want the same fee. So it's interesting. So here's the interesting part: is you've got guys who are really good saying that they want the same fee as Cunha. So I'm guessing that means they want either it all guaranteed or the add-ons to be higher than Cunha fee, or the add-ons just have to be easier to reach the Cunha fee. Because they keep saying the Cunha fee, but the total is the Cunha fee. So clearly they don't feel that the 62.5 is good enough in its current structure. So maybe they want just the 62.5 straight up, or maybe they want the add-ons a lot easier, or maybe they just want one more add-on on top so that they can present it as a 65 or 67 million or some shit like that. All sorts of things that could be the case in there. To be fair, it could be a lot of things. What else? Let's see. So I'm just looking to see, is there any update out of Italy on the whole Juventus thing? DiMarzio hasn't really started his nighttime. I don't know if he does it on Friday. He hasn't totally started his nighttime blitz yet. What are you guys arguing about in the chat? What are you guys all arguing about? Just put in the Palindor clause for the books sorted. Yeah, that's what I would do. Give him another 5 million if we win the Premier League. That's what I would do. Give him another 5 if we win the Premier League. There you go. We can easily get Vlahovic. Why are we waiting for Gyökeres? I don't think Vlahovic is very good. Gyökeres deals De Jongish, yeah, to a degree, but we haven't been fixated on it. That's the important part. The De Jong deal cost us our other targets because we didn't sign them in the meantime. It'd be like if we walked away from Mbeumo to keep trying to buy Gyökeres and lost out on Mbeumo. We didn't do that. That's what we did the De Jong summer. We haven't made that mistake. Easily get Vlahovic, yeah. Freddie Kadioglu an option for us? I don't think so. I mean, he kind of had a failed move, didn't he? To a degree, am I wrong? I mean, why would we get him now? We had a little bit of interest before. Yeah, we didn't send. Yeah, if you see Omar, if you see Omar and Wilcox down in Portugal getting pictured at a restaurant and coming back empty-handed, then it's like De Jong. Until then, we're all right. We're all right. We're right. Yeah, he was injured at Brighton. Yeah. Trafford to Newcastle. We were interested in Trafford, but I think they're asking for quite a bit now with having gotten promoted and all that. Like the video game. Little sweeping statement there. Everybody's welcome, though. Imagine how weak our midfield would be if we had De Jong instead of Cat. I never got the De Jong thing. I really didn't because I had the same concerns. Like there was no way you could have anchored the midfield the same way we needed. Maybe both Casemiro and De Jong would have been nice, but not one or the other. Why did club not look transfers when Sir Jim come in? Too slow, giving too much players. What you mean by that? De Jong is made of the same paper mache that Shaw is. Well, that's my concern too. He's had tons of injury issues. Guys, I mean, it's okay. Gays can like the video. Straights can like the video. Everybody can like the video. You're all welcome here. No bias, no judgment. Nobody's barred from liking. Only disliking. You just can't dislike the video. All right. I think I am gonna end it because I don't have anything else to do and I don't want to wait on forever. Okay, guys. What did I get canceled for? That was a very welcoming statement. Exactly. Just no spoof X. Exactly. All are welcome except. Yeah. All right. Calm down. Everything's okay. Thank you for that.
Do you see ending up with Gyökeres?
I think there's still a decent chance, sure, because I still don't feel like Arsenal are gonna go. I still don't feel like Arsenal are gonna go for him. Do we turn our attention to a stinker now? I hope not. We've got enough stinkers at the club already. Yeah, TTS is on for today. TTS is on for today. It's Friday. Um, it does okay with that name. It could be worse. I spoke about the goalkeeper already. Yeah, I spoke about the goalkeeper already. Yeah, there's reports saying Sheshko's favored. Exactly. You would have taken Kepa? I would absolutely not have taken Kepa. Kepa has the worst wrists in football. He has the worst wrists in football. I think we move for a left wing back if Leon doesn't seem ready on preseason. Yeah, potentially. I think a left wing back is more needed maybe than a right wing back. Because like Dorgu can play on the right. He's left footed. He can play on the right. Ahmad can play on the right. Dallo can play on the right. We don't really have many who can play on the left. And Mbeumo and his agent need to say we can wait to join United next year as a free agent. Yeah. Malacia, Shaw can't do it anymore. Malacia can't do it anymore. Oh, what about them out? Excuse me. Yeah, what about them out? Don't know, man. Obviously, the Inter things, there's some reports that it's cooled down. We'll wait and see from better sources. They would still need to sell Taremi before they come back for Rasmus, so we'll see what happens there. Thank you for the donation, Marky. Thank you. Thank you for that, bud. You don't have to apologize for anything. That you didn't do anything wrong for mistyping. It's all good. But thank you for that. Thank you for the donation. And Mbeumo does have an op. Correct. So he technically can't come join us in a year for free anyway. He would still technically be under contract for another year. Maybe $1. That's okay. $1 plenty. $1 adds up. They can just exercise the additional year. It's usually determined by the club. Not the player necessarily. I can get a slice of pizza for $1. Not anymore. Look, if I get $1 a million times, I'm good. I can quit. I can stop. Don't think we'd be doing. Well, it's funny because people are like, go back in for a Wissa, and I was like, they're gonna just like 100 million, like something crazy like that. Like they're just gonna do something crazy if you go back in for another Brentford player now. Like, good God. All right, that's it, guys. I've delayed enough. America is expensive right now. Inflation's definitely been high. All right, guys, that's enough. I'm gonna end it. An hour and 20. Thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for being calm. Thanks for not panicking. I will be back tomorrow. I will definitely do something tomorrow. We'll see if there's any updates. See if I have anything else to share, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'll leave TTS on for tomorrow and over the weekend as well, just because it's fine. I don't seem to mind it when we're just getting a few top things like that. It doesn't bother anybody. So enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, stay cool if it's warm where you're at, and I will see you all later.